everywhere.
Welcome back to the League of Legends University Tournament. This is the Varsity Qualification Playoffs qualification match. Surrey Stags taking the lead over Heartstuck. They are 1-0 after game one. Melvin Izzle, we thought this was going to come down to draft quite heavily early on, but it turned out not to be the case.
Yeah, we were misled by what looked like weak champion pools for the Heartstuck squad. But as we can see here, they managed to put themselves together a nice little comp with Kayle and these kind of very decent to strong champions in the meta. So right now, it doesn't look like it's a problem with how they draft. It was mainly down to execution errors from both sides that ended up slipping the game into this very late game state that went on for a while and had throws back and forth.
Oh yeah, but this is the good thing about best of series. We've got a best of 3 here, so we can see how the teams are going to adapt. It's not like Swiss, where you have one bad draft and suddenly your Swiss is for the day is ruined. You're into the losers bracket, you're feeling like dog, it's not good. Now they've got a chance to make it up. Heartstuck, as we said, their champions are not the problem, it seems. It's just about the execution. It's about decision making, and they have a chance to workshop that. They can try and get it done, and there were so many points where they were taking winning fights. They snuck an Ocean Soul out of Surrey Stags, under their noses, and I didn't even notice, and I was casting it.
Yeah, they were really good with their theory, and the idea behind everything they were doing with the setups and this kind of thing is just what are the things that could happen when you're potentially, maybe not because you have a smaller champion pool, but when you're not as frequent on a singular champion, your decision making can fluctuate a little bit. You could look at somebody and go, oh yeah, if I was on a Mumu, let's say, I could one-shot that person right now, but where it's Hecarim, it's a bit different. And things like that of just the minor slips back and forth can lead to these slightly debatable bits of logic as we hop into Champ Select.
Yeah, for sure. And given that we said that it didn't seem to come down to the draft very much, it's unsurprising that we're seeing pretty similar bans. We've seen the Asol, the Galio, and the Kayn taken away once again by Surrey Stags. So far, we've got Jhin and Samir taken away again by the Heartstuck. I can't remember what their last ban was.
It was Vladimir.
So they've now swapped the Lilia into there, as blue side is available for Surrey Stags. Kayle is available, Ryze is available. Let's see what they choose to lock in.
Interesting. So after having Surrey Stags pick choice of side, they opted for the blue this game. Last time they had to decide, well, pretty much it was Kayle's taken away. It was more so of what to ban. And we see Heartstuck have actually opted away from banning the Vlad, banning Lilia that Kenma does play, but isn't exactly the strongest right now, and saying, okay, well, you're going to go for Kayle because we don't want to see your Vladimir.
Yeah, they are not happy to see that one. And Aku says, okay, buds, I'll take the Kayle from you then. So Rule ended up going something like 3-7-7 on this champion. It was not the most exciting performance of a Kayle that we've seen so far. Ekus, however, we've seen this guy save whole games on this champion. I'm excited to see him back on this pick, as Daddy Justice back on the Malphite once again as well.
Oh, that Olaf that got banned out in the second rotation last game. We actually get to see it come out. This is going to be a strange pick. I can't say I've seen really any Olaf actually in the preseason. They had faltered at the end of last season, mainly because as this kind of hard clearing, pushing through the jungle, and then just spam ganking in the early parts of the game, they didn't really benefit too much from the power farming benefits that Graves and champions of that like got. So I'd be interested to see how Olaf can actually do and which mythic they decide to opt for.
Yeah, absolutely. As the only time I have seen Olaf played, it was paired with a Yuumi, funnily enough, and it was absolutely devastating, to be honest. It was so very strong. But we do also have the Shen back on deck for Warrior. He was looking very strong with the Ignite in that lane, taking control, following up, playing with Kenma a lot in that early game, having great stand Uniteds, and generally looked very comfortable in this pick.
Yeah, that is going to be a nice pairing. We see the 1-3-1 comp starting to come out now. And that is, in fact, Leona, not Yuumi. Just so everybody's aware, that is a proxy pick over there. And we actually see the Orianna come out. Which side do you want to talk about? Because right now, there's pretty defining features on both already.
Well, the Orianna sticks out more to me because I don't think I've seen a single Orianna game in preseason so far. It was coming back heavily into the meta at the end of last season. It was one of these standard picks like Azir just coming in. If you don't know what to do, just pick a Orianna. It's pretty good. But now, I don't really know where it fits into the mid lane meta.
Well, at the current moment, she seems to be still living in that position of, well, she's not the best, but if you don't have anything, it's always Orianna. She is everlasting consistency in a champion. And when you have something like the Olaf and the Malphite, these are both champions that love Orianna on their team. Very clean setups for the Shockwave. They get right into the enemy team, no questions asked, and can lead to big team fight combos. And right now, she has been debating between almost the Ludens and some of the other AP items. Interesting to see which mythic they opt for this game, but that's a Warwick ban.
Two jungle bans from Stags with the Olaf pick, so they're clearly not convinced that this is definitely a jungler. I mean, when we saw Daddy Justice go to mid lane, sure, but with an Orianna as well, I guess most likely a proxy, as we have been informed by production, that Olaf is in fact Rakan. So, right, Flex going back onto that pick from game one.
Okay, that cleans it up a little bit there.
Yeah.
Still pretty much the same things stand with the exception of the jungle talk. Rakan, instead of Olaf, does have that same level of setup, and we can see a very familiar repeat that Warwick is an Olaf ban because we've got the double level of proxy here.
My brain is melting out of my ears.
3 layers deep right now. Just listen to our voices, chat, and we'll tell you roughly what is the champ select because it doesn't appear to be as it seems.
Yeah, just close your eyes, lean back, and we'll give you some ASMR champ select. But so very heavily jungle focused bans in the second round is the takeaway here. Elise, Graves, Olaf, and Hecarim once again. So now the option for Heartstuck has been the Amumu. It's been the classic tank pick. It did kind of fall off popularity a little bit after the first week, but definitely still a strong option.
Yeah, they got a little hurt by those Cinderhulk item nerfs, but still very powerful. And combining that with the Shockwave, given the fact that Amumu ult is now a stun, it can lead very nicely when it shreds everybody's armor. Guys, just so you know, that's not a Zed, that's a Rek'Sai. So what you need to know is Rek'Sai versus Amumu. Rek'Sai.
Yes.
Never mind. It's not Amumu, it's Sejuani.
What we probably need to do here is just get Patrick on the mic so he can tell you what they're picked, because there are so many proxy picks right now. The Amumu is Sejuani, as Melvin has said, so it's not Amumu. To be honest, I think it's better than Amumu. I think it's the same position, but I think it's just a better choice.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait to find out if that's a real Vayne or if this is some kind of fake. Yeah, at this point I've had it, but the main thing to note, as we see, similar looking chains of logic from both the teams, but they're flipped. What we saw was the team fight comp coming out. Now they're on the opposite sides, and the 1-3-1 split from the Stags on the blue side, we'll have to see how well they can pilot this with their mishmash of champions that, frankly, I'm just going to wait a couple more seconds for us to get back into pick band, just so I don't say the wrong champion names quickly enough.
Yeah, we'll have to confirm exactly what's going on here. But I mean, some of the interesting picks that have remained, I guess, the Orianna, I believe, is still legit in there, and it's going up against the Kayle, most likely, for Ekus. So do you feel like Cerul's going to have a better time against Ekus in that matchup? Because it was very much the Rise taking control of mid lane in game one off the back of that bad jungle fight.
Yeah, they really did set the Kayle behind in that early part of the game. But the thing is, Ekus, they don't really lose lane. Not because they just mechanically outplay their opponent necessarily. They're just very good at taking the minimum loss possible. They will know when to forfeit a minion wave or two to avoid getting ganked and losing plates. They're very good at taking the lesser part of these trades, and Orianna does not hard punish that much. Yes, she'll be very powerful in these early few levels when the Kayle doesn't have those ranged autos on lock. So that's going to be the point where we'll see if Sarul can get priority in this lane. With the jungle being the Sejuani versus the Rek'Sai.
Yes.
To look at that one more time, the Kayle Rek'Sai, very good at level 6 onwards together.
Yep.
The Rek'Sai gets to jump in. It's very similar as we saw last game with Kayle. If you pair up with somebody who jumps in, they're very happy to be invulnerable as they pop out in the middle of the enemy team. Except in the 2v2, that's going to be pretty disgusting as we see somebody misclick and lock in the wrong champion.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, I assume this is wrong. I assume that we haven't been fed the wrong information here. It's just the misclick. I've seen Lee Sin so far once in the preseason. I'm telling you, I don't want to see it again. Maybe in the jungle it would be better, but I've seen enough. One game was enough for me of that season. So we're going to get back to the Sejuani, I imagine, once we get back in for round 3 on this champ select. Third time will be the charm. Here's hoping.
Yeah, I know we came here for a BO3, but I didn't think that was just approaching the champion select.
Okay, so we're being told that he doesn't have Sejuani. He doesn't own the champion. So I don't think he can pick it. I've not read the new rulebook in that much detail, but I don't believe he's allowed to play the champion.
They're buying
if he
the
doesn't own
champion.
it.
Okay, so they're spending money right now to make sure they can get this authentic, this proper champion select coming out for all you people at home. We're
Nice.
home buying you and delivering a Sejuani to your door. Let's see if they could deliver those glacial prisms to the enemy team, or if this purchase was not worth it.
I love that there is now potentially real
First
money on the line being spent just to get a pick. They're not even bribing the enemy team to throw. They're just getting a champion that they thought they had.
You know,
now
the thing
they
that
claim to have it.
this screams to me is this is first time playing Sejuani. That's the thing that I'm now thinking based on that.
Hopefully it's not. Hopefully they have an ult or something.
Or they
Hopefully
played it on free to play. When was the last time Sej was free to play?
Oh boy. Who knows? Who knows, man? Okay, so let's talk about this jungle matchup now that it is definitely Sejuani. The champion has been bought and paid for and is now able to be played. So, Rek'Sai versus Sejuani, early game. Who's going to take control?
Definitely Rek'Sai. Outside of really the level 1 when Sejuani's presumed Aftershock will do the heavy lifting, Rek'Sai will, after they get to level 3, be able to look for potential invades onto Sej. Now, it's not actually as definitive as you imagine. Sej is one of the tanks can actually clap back pretty hard in these first few levels because if they have their E available, it's a pretty hefty chunk of damage that they can throw at you. They can actually be the aggressor in these early few levels. It's all about which lanes can actually get priority for them. Now, the reason I lean towards Rek'Sai, please stop hovering different champions. My heart is...
I'm losing my mind.
I'm definitely not sleeping well tonight after this champion select, but... Okay, I'm just going to minimize the tab. I'm actually minimizing the champion select until it's done. I'm just going to stare at this screenshot.
Showing me where they got their name, maybe. Struggling with the pick ban phase more than I would expect.
Yeah, mechanical errors, right? This is
yeah.
As we can see, it's not a decision-making thing. It's just the mechanical aspect of, oh yeah, we'll lock you in, Sej. Just own it first.
Just own it. Maybe that would be a good place to start, perhaps. So, Rek'Sai's going to take control of jungle early. That's what we'd expect here. Orianna, likely to be stronger early, but we've seen, as you said, Ekus does not lose lane very easily. And with a strong early jungler, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up taking the win in this 2 versus 2 once again.
Yeah, in the 2v2, it's pretty much a bursty matchup where Kayle does not offer too much pre-6, so you really don't want to be taking that 2v2. But if you end up getting to that level 6 point and after that, you do have the ability to shred through the Orianna. But generally speaking, it has to go very heavily in the Kayle Rek'Sai's favor for it to swing to them. Otherwise, the Orianna and the Sej are going to have the better time at that mid 2v2.
Yeah, sure. So, speaking of 2v2s, let's finally move down to the bot lane. We know what they're picking now. It's definitely confirmed. Kai'Sa, Leona. Lamborghini taking the Kai'Sa away from Diamond Storm. Easy game GG back on the classic Leona. Very strong engage comp versus Diamond Storm and Rank Flex. Rank Flex on the Rakan again, but Diamond Storm onto the Vayne this time.
Yeah, this is their counter to the Kai'Sa. We saw the Vayne as the very last pick in the game, and despite the mishmash of champions, hopefully they didn't get confused by the initial champion select. But Vayne has pretty much since release of Kai'Sa been renowned as one of the best counter picks to her. And this is just because she does what Kai'Sa does, but her passive is 3 hits. Kai'Sa's is 5. And while Leona can help stack that up a bit quicker, it does mean that Vayne usually gets the better ends of these trades. And when it gets to level 6, when Kai'Sa's meant to turn into that pseudo-assassin, Vayne is way ahead of you. She could get that, and then she comes with CC packing in the side as well. So, as we'll see in this lane, they do have the support counter of, like we said, Leona does better into Rakan, but with the Vayne doing well into Kai'Sa, it's going to be all on the supports to see who gets the better initiation to set up their ADs.
Sure. I mean, if we look back at how game 1 ended, it did kind of come down to that at the very end there. Easy game GG stuns up both enemy carries. Rank Flex, he doesn't get a single quickness proc off. He walks out of the pit, gets burst down, Kenma steals the Baron, and that's the seal on the game. So Rank Flex had a very good game up to that point, I felt, getting strong engages, getting them the advantage in bot lane, able to control the jungles and get those objectives secured early on. But when it came down to the final fight, finally wasn't able to get it done. Let's see they can have a better time this time on the same champion at least, and the same matchup in fact, support-wise.
Yeah, Easy Game GG has been pretty hard relying on this Leona. I believe every game we've actually seen of them on the stream has been a Leona game. So this is very clearly what this new to support player wants to keep going. They're getting the hang of it. They know their direction. They're in a winning matchup for all intents and purposes here. And frankly, what I'm interested is if both ADCs opt for cleanse, or if they're going to be greedy with their summoners, maybe look for the exhaust to look for solo kills on the sideline later on.
Yeah, let's see if they can get that done. We saw attempted roams from Rank Flex early on, but they were often stymied out by counter rotations from Stags. Let's see if they can maybe get a bit more done. And the only other thing I'm looking for is that this top lane matchup being the exact same. Daddy Justice, if they can avoid having a river fight that went so badly this time, maybe they can get some more done. And of course it depends if they just swap the lanes again, who knows?
Yeah, this time I don't see it going as well. I don't think Orianna is going to do too hot in a side lane. No. Malphite in mid here, it's going to be a very similar situation where they can poke out Kayle, but Kayle will have slightly better wave clear, not really. I don't think there's good reason to do the swap, especially because you've already done it. That's another thing about the best of 3. Is when you're in this kind of leveling system where you see what the enemy does, okay, how do we react to that? They're going to be ready now, and we might even see the blue team look for a ward level 1 to try and fish out a potential lane swap from the other team.
Sure. Well, we can look forward to that when we get onto the Rift. We are about to go to another short break before we load into Game 2 of Sorry Stags versus Heartstuck. Sorry Stags on the cusp of making varsity through this qualification match. Heartstuck, it is do or die time for this team. Let's see if they can clean this game up and keep this series alive. We'll be back to you very shortly. And we are back here for game 2. Teams coming out of the Rift, and immediately we see something a little different here. We have these Surrey Stags grouping up towards that top side, maybe looking for an invade.
Yeah, we saw copious pings come out heading to this top lane right now. And I think this is their attempt at seeing if there's going to be a lane swap and getting ahead of the schedule. Tag the stun.
Got the Zenith Blade and the follow-up taunt. Daddy Justice is going to get first blooded just like that. Lamborghini happy to pick it up.
Yeah, and that is definitely Kai'Sa working on the KDA early as we head into this one. Let's see what they pick up with that extra gold. Going for a dagger. This is going to make them... Oh, swapping it to a longsword, actually. They're going to be... Yeah. Going to be even deadlier in this level 1 against the Kai'Sa and the Rakan. We see that... Sorry, Vayne and Rakan. We see it's cleanse versus heal in the end is what the ADCs have opted for.
Yeah, so a little bit of extra utility on Diamond Storm. For those fights, and then when you're looking for getting Flash Shen torted on, when maybe EasyGame.gg manages to nail you with that stun, you're going to be able to get out of there. So see if that pays off for them, as we do see a little ward dropped into the bot side there by the red team in response. So we're going to see where Kenma is starting at the very least. And
critically, what we noticed from that level 1 is no summoners got blown anywhere. So that does mean that these lanes will play roughly out as they were meant to in the first place, the only exception being now that it's going to be pretty hard for Diamond Storm to try and flex this early lead they could have had, as now it's much closer to equal. Looking at the Hailer Blades on the Kai'Sa and the heal does mean that their trades are going to be pretty strong against Vayne when they usually should have been a bit less even.
Yeah, for sure. And something else that is very much not even is Cerule versus Ekus in this mid lane right now. Cerule walking right up to that tower at level 1, getting as many auto attacks proc as possible to start Ekus, burning through the mana for those heals, burning through the pots in a little bit as well.
Yeah, and that's what we need to see. We need to see Cerule get priority in lane. Last time, they were playing into top lane, and it was a bit of a off experience. Clearly, they weren't exactly comfortable. It's a little bit of a trade happens in this top lane. Hurrier pushing his advantage once again on this Shen early game.
Yeah, gonna get that grass proc and eat a bit of damage in the backside and take some mini damage. The trade ends up going almost even in terms of health, but mana, of course, is a concern for Daddy Justice.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This Malphite, last time, they didn't really have to worry too much about getting punished. They weren't really in the ballpark of, you know, what are they gonna do? They can't punish me in lane. It's a rise. But now against this Shen, if you come into Q range, then they can throw you right back into the minion wave, and especially with that Ignite, Justice needs to be very careful for a potential kill, as they have run out of corrupting potions before they've even had to burn anything on Hurrier's side.
Yep, Hannah Baker is actually going to end up behind Lamborghini here, going to force the flash with the follow-up stun from Permafrost, going to get a bit of extra damage, but not too much damage at least, but that Summoner getting off the table is very important potentially for them, as Warrior is going to find themselves on the receiving end of another gank from Kenma. Daddy Justice bursts down at the blink of an eye, loses his flash and his life.
And you know what? That Sejuani clearly worth the money they just spent on it to get that champion, getting early stuff done, but you can't match Kenma. On this Rex side, they are proactive. This player, as we saw last game, is an expert lurker. They hide in the fog of war and just wait for the perfect moment. And they're happy to miss out on a bit extra farm. They're happy to just path around it, and Rek'Sai is a very good champion for this, because with the tunnel vision that they can see when they're underground, they can prepare for picks like this one onto Malphite, where they can chunk them out on the way back to lane.
Yeah, Kenma going to return straight to that top side and aggress onto Daddy Justice once again. Hasn't even bought and is just going to do a little bit of damage. Loses out on the trade more or less, but keeps Daddy Justice scared, keeps them on their toes, and is now finally going to return to the river.
Now, the thing is, we see they've actually opted for the Conqueror this game as opposed to the Hailer Blades. Now, this is what kind of became the standard at the end of when Rek'Sai was last relevant. It's, you know, it's fine. As far as Conqueror goes, you need to be able to proc it. And against Malphite and Sej, you usually can in these fights. It just doesn't do as well when you're against champions like the Vayne or the Orianna. So we'll see it much more effective as they continue to camp this top lane.
Yep, Warrior gets him with a Shadow Dash. Kenma once again dropping the emotes. Daddy Justice knows he is caught out, but Hannah Baker is there to cover the retreat. Warrior drop down once low. Very once again. Hannah Baker gets in, but gets not up, and the wave is in their favor. They're going to break apart, but finally here, Kenma is rebuffed.
Yeah, and they need to get that crash into the tower because Hurry are happily sitting there. They are up 22 CS at 5 minutes. Daddy Justice, with the TP available, not able to play the game. They are just being forced off of these minions. Every time they come up to poke, they are zoned off at the threat of a kill. As we see right here, despite being at a core of the HP, such a decisive trade for Hurrier.
Yeah, he definitely knows his champion, knows the matchup, holding the Spirit Refuge to block the clap back from Daddy Justice there, and ends up coming out ahead, as you say. The Ignite is a quarter left on the cooldown, so once that's ready, there could be some kill threat there, but mostly what we see in top lane is an absolutely devastating CS lead already.
Yeah, and we were talking about before, we're worried about Heartstuck's champion pools, but tying it back around to the Surrey Stags, they're pretty much on comfort across the board. Hurriet was a Shen Urgot player last season, and they have got Shen in both of their games as of current. Ekus, they have managed to play Kale in, I believe it is, all 3 of their last Newell games, and they have been a decisive, important part of their team in all 3. So, apart from last game, obviously. And then looking at this bot lane, Lamborghini, I mean, he's not on his Jhin, but they do have the Leona backing them up, and we saw that as soon as they were off Jhin, they fell back to Samira. So looking at this team, they seem to like this kind of dive in, go for assassinate style. As we see a play in mid.
Going for the kill onto Ekis with the solo kill, flashes forward very aggressively. Don't know how necessary it was, but dang, it looked cool.
Definitely look cool. That was more of an excited ooh than an impressed ooh, as we see Hannah Baker actually lurking around, but not aware that the dragon is currently being taken on the side.
Kenma sneaks it right away and gets the Cloud Drake under there. So now they know that Rek'Sai, or at least somebody, is in that pit. You got to imagine it's Rek'Sai. Hannah Baker over the wall, going to step away, not going to choose to try and punish this Wayne pushing up for the blue team.
And apparently the Sejuani didn't notice the ward that they just walked right next to. They saw that the Leona had left the lane and was just waiting, and you could tell they were about to initiate, but the second that dragon went down, they realized 3v3 before ultimates on Vayne, Rakan, and Sej. We definitely do better with our ultimates, so let's just play it a bit safer. And something to note is this Rek'Sai looks to be going for the Prowler's Claw. They're going to prowl into this bot lane any second now, and then we can talk about it after.
That is very exciting now. Easy game GG. Gonna search for that Zenith Blade as Kenma is waiting in the wings. They don't know he's there, not for sure at least. And the wave is now gonna start pushing back from Heartstock. Are they going to walk forward, or are they going to respect it? Warrior is going to aggress into that Justice. Actually get aggressed on by Hannah Baker now. They've got Malphite ultimate if they want to go for it. Plenty of health left on Shen though right there. If they can get that wave crashed in, they can maybe look for the dive. I'm keeping half an eye on bot lane as well. Kenma's got the ultimate. Easy game GG. Steps forward. Flashes to engage onto Rakan. Followed up with Zenith Blade. Nowhere to go for you, Rank Flex, and the gank works out.
Yeah, and as we see, Kenma, very patient. We talked about it earlier on. They are happy to forfeit every camp on the map. Look at it. Everything's available for this Rek'Sai. But they are just waiting. They know that they get so much more value on this kind of champion if they can force the play. Because now, look at all the XP Rank Flex is losing out on. There's a play happens mid, Ekus.
Once again, forces the ultimate but doesn't have the flash, remember. Gets the kill onto Ekus, though Kenma is here, can easily clean this one up on the backside. And with the ultimate, maybe flash wouldn't even have helped. But Cerule is taking much more control out this mid lane. Looking great on the Orianna so far, as Rank Flex maybe looks to go aggressive. It's going to step back to the towers now. Kenma's been caught up by Daddy Justice, and Hannah Baker drops the ultimate there to try and get away as Warrior comes through, but a permafrost will follow. A flash stun from Warrior, though, will cover the retreat and get the counter kill. They're turning it on its head once again. Kenma with the Conqueror will not keep him alive. Daddy Justice grabs the shutdown. Can Warrior get the last one? The flash is used, but man, that fight was so close.
And in net profit, I feel like that went more in the favor of the Surrey Stags, but it was so many plays layered on top of each other, just relentless aggression. And unlike the last game, that one was less down to mistakes and more down to just sheer forcing the ticket from both teams. We saw Kenma walk straight from the bot gank up to the mid lane, get involved in that, and then straight into the top side. They did not take a single camp on the way, and yet they are still equal in CS with Hannah Baker. They are getting the better end of this trade through and through.
Kenma's Rek'Sai looking like a force right now. Did end up going down there, and the shutdown went into the pocket of Daddy Justice. So a nice little gold injection to keep them up, as they are still over 30 CS behind Warrior right now, despite winning the TP advantage.
Yeah, look at this. They just haven't got a chance to use it. This is the first TP they've managed to get through this game, and it's only to mitigate a loss, because the Dragon's not up for a minute 10, and the fact that Warrior's ult is going to be back off cooldown by then, this is a real problem for Heartstock. They need to be getting something proactive, presumably around this bot lane, as we see they're actually finding Kenma out on this Rift Herald.
Yeah, it's going to be spotted on the trade once again. Daddy Justice has the red buff as well, so is quite strong in these trades even without the ultimate, but doesn't want to fully commit, doesn't really have all the information, doesn't have flash to escape if they need it. Warrior's going to show up now, and they're going to hopefully be able to two-man the rest of this Rift Herald. Looks like Kenma still finishing it off, as Rank Flex and Easy Game GG are covering mid lane right now. Iacos does kind of need some help here right now.
Yeah, they just need shadowing, because when you have this Rakan with ultimate and flash available that can just chain into an Orianna, you are not safe. Kayle does not have flash. They're only just about to get their ultimate up, and at this point you can see Easy Game GG ready to leave while this invade happens at the top side.
Yep, Warrior clearing out that vision. Kenma sliding away over the wall. Not going to steal the red buff away. Hannah Baker going to pick that one up and has now developed a small CS lead. So with the amount of action that Kenma has seen so far, 2, 1, and 3, a part of every single kill so far on the map, the very least Hannah Baker is able to get a little bit of CS back.
Yeah, with this Ocean Dragon spawning in 32 seconds, we saw that because of how proactive Kenma's been, after that attempted force in the top side, they got to get a recall off, whereas Baker is sitting on 750 gold ahead of this potential dragon fight that I can only imagine is going to be a tough one for the no TP Malphite rest of that team to attempt to take, as it looks like they're forcing the ticket in both lanes, mid and bot right now. Both junglers backing off, neither actually opting into it, but they have the tools, as this may turn into a 3v3 bot lane.
Yeah, we saw what Rank Flex can do with the ultimate, but it is in fact Easy Game GG is engaging once again. Lamborghini with a killer instinct, but here comes the quickening and the knockup, but there are so many TP, so many bodies crashing into this bottom lane. Zerul is there with a two-man shockwave. Can Diamond Storm get some damage done? Still very far behind in items. Another re-engage onto Zatwani, bursts through by the 4 remaining members. Zerul's going to pick up a backwards kill onto Easy Game GG as well. Diamond Storm forces the flash out of Lamborghini to safety, but the Herald is dropped by Kenma. Warrior getting great use out of the Stand United there to bring the numbers advantage. Can they drop this tower on the back of it? Kenma, can he look for the dive? He does have the ultimate still. Looks like he's going for it. Tunnels in, gets onto Diamond Storm, but actually dashes forward onto Zerul, gets them super low, and Diamond Storm takes on Warrior on the backside. Vayne trying to outplay, gets the double and the triple with the tower, getting the kill. It's actually just the 2 kills and an execute, but Diamond Storm outplaying the dive beautifully.
All right, they are collecting money in the bank for Diamond Storm after that. That was excellent bit of smooth moves to dodge away from that dive right there, showing that there's a bit more fight left in Hurtstuck, and it is coming from the ADC. They are going to get themselves this pretty much uncontested dragon now off of that, where the fight looked so close to just being doomed. The Surrey Stags got really hammed, tried to go for that dive, and they just got outplayed by this Vayne. Good use of the cleanse there. We got to see it come out, and they managed to juke away from some potentially lane-ending CC. And now they're actually near on par with gold on the Kai'Sa.
I mean, where have we seen this story before? Game 1, the Surrey Stags get ahead on the back of Kenma's great early jungling. Heartstuck fire back, get gold onto their carries through the bot lane, and then they're able to extend this game out. Surrey Stags falling into the same traps as before a little bit, but they are at least still ahead in gold. The Dragons are 1 apiece once again. No turrets have fallen just yet as plates are about to crash off, but the bot lane tower for Heartstuck is looking very, very rickety right now.
Now, one little thing to talk about is this bot lane is an overstay to hell. We have got Vayne sitting on a good amount of gold, 1.7k, and if Leona notices this and Easy Game GG forces like that, oh no, so close to being something.
Yeah, but it was
fortunately not.
In fact, nothing.
Right idea. Again, right idea. Just down to execution this time for the Stags, though.
Yeah, the ultimate's still available for Easy Game GG, but they don't have the flash to get the engage, so maybe going to be hard to lock those targets down. But now, as you were saying, a lot of time has been spent by Diamond Storm still in this lane with that much gold, and now if they leave for a second, the tower's just going to fall instantly.
And this isn't going to turn into a dive by the looks of it. They're fighting, but the thing I will talk about is this Rek'Sai right now. They're looking top, and they have the Prowler's Claw. This item is a point-and-click dash. The reason that works with Rek'Sai is they burrow, they use it, and it unburrows and instantly gets the knockoff. Watch it right now.
Yeah, Warrior engaging with the Shadow Dash onto Daddy Justice, trying to trade them down as Rek'Sai is finishing off the camp. They're now waiting to look for this dive. Shen needs to crash this wave ASAP to get this dive going, unless Daddy Justice steps too far forward. They step forward for the Q, but can escape back easily. In comes Kenma, tunneling in, and there's the Prowler's Claw engaged, but there's no damage to follow. We saw the interaction, but nothing really achieved off the back of it.
Yeah, that was just the case of, a bit uncharacteristic for Kenma. Deciding they will get back on the map. They got a lot of sitting gold waiting. They're still actually even in CS with Baker after all this time, but they want to keep farming, try and get themselves up to that second item. Normally they do happily sit in Fog of War and wait for that kind of thing, so I expected that maybe they thought Daddy Justice had vision because they backed off so quickly and just decided, okay, well, it's time to force the ticket or not at all, as we see Kaisub get the free bot tower.
Absolutely. Bane chose to go back, wanted to get that Kraken Slayer on deck and loses the tower for their trouble. So bot lane is going to be cracked in the favor of Surrey Stags to kick this game off, as now the TP has come through. There is potentially 5 members coming to the spot side. They don't want to let this one get away with this for free. Killer Instinct has been used early, followed up by the Unstoppable Force. Easy Game GG trying to stop Hannah Baker, but they are unstoppable, and the shutdown is secured by Diamond Storm. Cerule is here as well, and the second kill is secured. The TP from Ekus leaves Hannah Baker maybe in a bit of trouble, but is going to slip away with the shield from Cerule. So they get a couple of kills back, but top lane tower is exposed and getting hit now as well. Is this worth the committal?
Well, plates aren't available right now, so this is just Shen getting tower damage for the sake of tower damage. So I'm definitely not against the play. The only thing is you got to remember that the dragon is spawning in a minute 40. So this is pretty good given the fact that it's going to be off cooldown. Their ultimates will be available. They can run it back and force again. As we see the team fight squad forcing a team fight and it going in the favor.
Yeah, for sure. And Eku's TP was used, and Warrior Stand United was used as well. So even when the dragon comes up, they might not still be available for that. So despite the fact that it's Heartstuck committing their TPs initially to the play, they get the counter summoners out of the other team as well. So when this dragon comes around, everyone who is going to have to fight for this is going to have to walk there themselves. Diamond Storm trying to get aggressive onto Eku's actually. Rank Flex maybe looking to follow up, not going to quite get the knock up and have to slink away as level 11 Kale is on deck. So pretty strong in that regard. And now we see some wards being placed in that bot river.
This time, unlike before though, we see both junglers are getting their reset off just before the dragon. So Baker's going to be able to pick a little bit up extra in the itemization aspect. And as we look through, we're hoping, Malphite's getting that reset now. They're just going to sacrifice this top tower. Warrior does not have the Stand United available for this, which means that they are going to have to either commit to just split pushing or, like we see now, leave this lane, get themselves down there, because it is very important for the 1-3-1 comp that you do not let the enemies get ahead in dragons, because if you do, we saw what happened last game, it went even, which meant the 1-3-1 team of the Stags got to play the game. The reason 1-3-1 has been bad for so long is because dragons are so important, and if the enemy stacks them, it's really hard to beat. So we'll see right now who ends up getting this one and swinging the game back in their favor.
Yep, now we see Heartstuck arriving on the scene here. All 10 members here. Easy Game GG actually tries to catch out Cerule, and they've got 4 members on top of Orianna. It's disaster to start it off, but Ekus on the bot side has been counter-killed. Both mid laners are down, but I would say Cerule probably a more important member at this point. Now we're left in the 4 versus 4. Let's see what Daddy Justice can do. Let's see what Diamond Storm can do now that they are in a better position. Kenma is here, sneaking around the pit. Lamborghini in the backside with Killer Instinct, with Flash and Heal. Maybe they just want to delay it. Hannah Baker maybe looking to start it up. Neither team looking to commit fully here, as now Lamborghini has stepped up to the mid lane to get that wave pushed in. They're going to punish them for hanging around too long. Dragon's been started, but it's not really been hit by too many people. Heartstuck, now they're starting to take it down. They see Lamborghini there. They're trying to commit there. Kale is alive, but has no TP. Cerule is alive, but does have TP. And Heartstuck are going to shove Kenma out of the pit with both hands, grab this dragon, and they are going to get that, but it's traded for mid-tower.
Yeah, Lamborghini just gave up on that, but it keeps going.
Yeah, the shot keeps committed, but doesn't really land on much. Hannah Baker takes a lot of damage to drop it down. Kenma trying to finish this one off. Easy Game GG is going to be pulled down by Diamond Storm. Kenma now taken down. Can Diamond Storm get this one done? Force the Killer Instinct. Lamborghini bursts down, but traded by Ekus, who is still alive to carry this fight. Warrior and Ekus are the 2-man squad on the front line diving through. They are left with 3 enemies to take down. Daddy Justice very low. Rank Flex, no mana. Cerule, what can they do on the front line? They've got no ultimate. They've got no flash. Warrior, can he find the Shadow Dash? Doesn't get it off the speed boost from Scuttlecrab. Cerule maybe wants to fight some more about it, but it's getting chunked down by Ekus off to press the attack. And Orianna opted into this fight. They wanted this battle. Warrior got the Stand United again to come back into the fight, and Cerule is now left on the wrong side of town. Dash finally lands, and Warrior picks up the kill. Cerule, they wanted to be the hero at the end there, but they end up going down.
Oh my lord, the fancy feet coming out. That got way too close. Ekus kept chasing though, and it eventually results in them picking up 2 kills for this Kale at the end of that fight. Now what we saw there was net positive for the side of the red team here. Heartstuck managed to pick up the dragon most essentially. We saw Orianna, they bought time for that teleport. Really nice coordinated play, unlike what we saw in the last game where sometimes they were a bit off kilter, not necessarily on the same page. Whole team said, no, don't touch dragon, we're waiting. And before this Malphite gets dived, we can hopefully talk about how we can see where this gold got distributed after that. A lot of money went on Vayne, a lot of money went on Orianna, a lot of money went on Kayle. This is going to mean that the tanks aren't going to be as effective in the next fight if it's soon, because these damage carries got so many more stats than they should have had at this point in the game.
Yeah, the main difference for me that I can see of this game so far is the fact that Cerule is actually able to get a foothold in it. They were winning mid pretty handily and had a noticeable gold lead. It has now been shrunk a little bit as Akus gets so much value off that fight, but they're still about 250 gold ahead of their counterpart. But I want to see what Cerule can do with this. They clearly want to do something. They want to be impactful in this game and try to secure the win actively for Heartstuck, but will they be able to do it? So far, they're having mixed results.
Yeah, the thing I want to see from Cerule is I want to see them take a little bit, like 10% more of a backseat, because what they've been doing has been the right idea, but same as their story from last game, of they went a little too aggressive and it goes poorly, but right now, great stuff, looking for the pick on Kemba.
Yes, Cerule has found the damage, and Kemba trying to get a counter kill on the back of it, but Cerule finds a solo on the jungler. The Baron has been started up. Heartstuck once again going into this Baron, but they know they have smite advantage. They're trying to pick the fight right now. Diamond Storm forced into the Akus trying to get that kill, but gets condemned against the wall and taken down, but the Kayle ult clutches in to save them. Can Diamond Storm get it done onto Akus? The shutdown is there, and a second for Vayne. Cerule has arrived, and Vayne picks up a third. Heartstuck, they take a decisive team fight win, and once again in game 2, the first Baron will be theirs.
And what a brilliant set of plays. Cerule camping that push, and the second they saw Kenma, the team aggroes Baron. And if you are ever the jungler, the first thing you do when the enemy aggroes Baron is you hover it to see the HP. And what we saw there was Kenma walk straight over, didn't even notice the Orianna on the Tremor Sense, and that ended up getting them popped, which gave the team the confidence to just keep going at the Baron. And they turn it into the 4v5 fight eventually. And Diamond Storm making moves throughout that. Excellent condemn onto Akus meant they could not get the impact they have had on their previous Kayle games. And frankly, it's just a shutout so far in these fights. Heartstuck are playing so much more confidently. Clearly, Hannah Baker just needed that first-time Sejuani gameplay to really lock himself in the winning seat.
Absolutely. Looking pretty comfortable on the first time Sejuani in this game. Glad they spent the money on it because it seems to be paying out dividends straight away. And now let's see if they can keep this streak going. You mentioned Diamond Storm looking so strong on this Vayne. Gwynsu's has been completed halfway to another crit item as well. The full late game carry Vayne is coming up very fast. And the Riftmaker on the other side is not done yet for Akus. So they're missing a bit of that power spike. Dragon's going to be up before too long. Let's see if Heartstuck, they want to push this to 3. They want to get that soul point online so they can force that 1-3-1 to not be effective.
And we can see that just by the fact that Akus is up there with no TP, they are basically forfeiting this dragon. They're saying, Kenma, maybe you can try and steal it. We're just going to send the guy of TP up there. And, you know, if they approach us while we have the Baron buff, they're throwing it. Because this is only going to be done by easy game GG and all the blue trinkets are down. Nobody else from the blue team can safely walk up right now into this potential Sejuani ult, rest of the team instant follow-up, and it just results in a dead member. So they're just giving away this mountain.
Yep, not going to contest it. Probably the right choice as you have detailed here. Daddy Justice waiting in that top side. So it's going to be a Mountain Soul pushing nearer and nearer for Heartstuck there. This is quite nice, you know, for Daddy Justice, for Hannah Breaker getting that extra burst control while they do have Cerule on their side to burst pretty hard themselves. Do you feel like this Mountain Soul is worth, like, definitely force fighting over, or are Sorry Stag's going to be better force, maybe looking to trade more objectives for it?
No, I think it's definitely worth fighting over for the same reason we discussed last game. We'll go over after Hannah Baker tries to escape.
They're looking to fight over Hannah Baker's right to enter the river there, and the ults are committed. It's going to be easily 2 people picked up, but a tower is grabbed on the bottom side with the Baron push.
So this just looks like trading mid priority for bot priority. And frankly, I'm more happy with the bot priority here. Weirdly enough, you normally value mid above everything, but we saw last game how impactful a bot lane inhib was. It was literally game deciding. Because the Kayle had to TP over to the Baron, it meant that they were at the fight late. the rest of the team managed to force a big fight, and the Stags managed to pull away the game because it was just the extra pressure of, okay, do we fight for Baron? Do we hold side lane? Do we fight for Baron? Do we hold side lane? And it just, that kind of almost decision paralysis ripped them apart last game. And at this point, we'll see if it comes up again.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely would say that if I have a Baron buff, I don't want to be trading towers as much. I want to be getting towers. I want to be making a gold difference extend in my favor. Whereas right now, it is still about 500-600k, 500-600 gold in Heartstuck's favor, which is, I believe it's actually smaller than it was when they started the Baron and when they got the buff. So they're not able to really translate this buff into any significant advantages. They took it off the field. It's sure, they got some towers, but traded them mid. So, I mean, once again, not the most impactful first Baron of the game for Heartstuck, and last game it was Surrey Stags getting the next two. Hopefully Heartstuck for them. Let's see if they can hold on to control for a little bit longer as they are going back to their ever-present bot lane control.
Now, the thing I want to note about that, though, is what they didn't get in towers, they did get in the Dragon. And the thing that happened last game was we saw the split push team, that was the Stags, still is this game, they managed to get 2 dragons early, as opposed to just the 1 that they've only managed to secure this game. And this is why it's important to fight over the dragon early as the split push comp, is because if you can get those early dragons, you push back the scaling for the kind of team fight team. And once your split pushes, for example the Kayle, get some resources on them, or Hurrier on this Shen, then they can actually pressure towers and they can get things done in the side. And then the team fight team has to wonder, okay, is it worth going for this dragon, or do we need to actually send a member top? So right now, this is in a much better state for the Heartstuck team on this red side. And they pretty much are in the driver's seat around this next dragon. And as long as Kayle doesn't tear up too much of the top lane, then they're going to be living happy. They're going to get this soul and go be able to run it back for Elder shortly after.
Yeah, Ekus is definitely about to get punished from the top side here. Kenma is choosing to keep channeling that recall. The Glacial Prison lands, and the Unstoppable Force nails Ekus as well. Kayle comes through, but it is surely just delaying the inevitable as Hannah Baker takes a fair bit of damage, but is still going to get that kill on the top side.
Yeah, I imagine that the reason that Kenma just opted for the recall there was Baron up in 40. If that goes wrong, and the enemy team is really, really on point, you can actually just keep the Rek'Sai alive for like 10 to 20 more seconds, kill them at the last second necessary, walk over to Baron and take it on spawn. So good choice to leave your mid laner for dead there. Maybe not the best choice to have been there in the first place though.
Yeah, I mean, the way Heartstuck have been playing around Barons, I would expect them to just instantly start it. And as soon as there is, you know, they've maybe got the jungler down to half HP, everyone else full, well, that's it, guys. We're going to Baron. We've got the advantage. Let's start it. Let's flip it. We saw how that punished them in Game 1, but maybe they'll be able to get more out of it in Game 2, as now they're looking to get some resets. Dragon coming up soon, Baron as well. A lot of presence in the mid lane. Easy game GG throwing the Solar Eclipse and flashing forward onto Cerule, actually. Followed up by Lamborghini. Gonna push Cerule into stasis. Can they escape? Flash away, but stunned again, and going to be caught out. Diamond Storm not able to get much done as well. They're trying to find the engage. Kenma flashes forward to try and catch out Vayne, but Diamond Storm flashes in turn and escapes. The ult's going to flash into the flash. Taunt onto the Vayne, forces the cleanse. Now they have no more summoners, but they are still doing damage. One kill has been dropped. Rank Flex covering in the mid lane. Hannah Baker's been taken down. Dying Justice is surely to follow, and Diamond Storm, they were forced to use everything in their arsenal to stay alive there. 3 people from Heartstuck still dead. They've got the wave at the inhib tower.
And that was all easy game GG. They are living by their namesake. Great force right there. They didn't get the initial E, but they commit the flash to stun Cerule. They were too far up. Even with the stopwatch, they weren't able to survive, and they're trying to end.
Yeah, it's just the bot lane duo, and right place once again they have no summoners, but once again the Kayle that comes through, easy game GG is very low, but they're trying to burn through these towers. Diamond Storm has it all to do. They've got 1 kill. Can they get the kill into Akus? They're proccing the passive. They've got a second. Lamborghini trying to go for the end. Are they going to get shut down? They are. Cerule slides off the fountain and picks up a double to save the game for Heartstuck.
Oh, Lord, and that flips it again completely, because they could secure both Baron and Dragon off this. Hurrier cannot do, and I mean this seriously, anything right now. Unless the Heartstuck team completely fumbles, there's nothing this Shen can do. And this is the problem when you have Ignite. Yes, it gives you lane priority, but now there is an open nexus and nobody can threaten it. If there was a teleport available on Shen, they could mean that you only get 1 of Dragon or Baron, because you can't commit that many members. But at this point, there's nothing he can do. Ekus doesn't have their teleport available, so they're actually completely fine leaving an open nexus just sat there for the taking, because nobody can do anything about it.
Yep, they're going to pick up the Baron. They're going to pick up the Mountain Salt Warrior. Actually looking to go for the Miracle Steal. Doesn't get it. There was no smite on either side. I love the idea. Wasn't able to get it done, though. And now Heartstuck, you've got everything you wanted. You've got the Baron. You've got the Soul. You've got a significant gold lead. You've got Rabadons coming in. Mythics everywhere out the wazoo. Can you keep yourself alive in this game? Can you avoid the backdoor?
And frankly, what I'd like to see from the Stags side is actually the entire team, maybe short of 1 to 2 members, committing to this kind of backdoor level here. Where at this point, despite having Baron and Mountain Soul, until that inhib is back up, you're never truly safe. Because if one member gets in the base, there's a Shen ult coming down on top of them. And if another member tries to defend them, that can be a Kai'Sa ult back in. So you can suddenly have 3 people spontaneously in your base. So this is all about what we see here: establish defensive vision in your jungle. Don't let the enemy team get the option to push forward. Wait for the wards to expire in your base. And frankly, it means this is going to be a very dull Baron of not much happening. But it keeps you alive, and that's all you need when you have an open Nexus.
Yeah, continuing the tradition of Heartstuck of getting the Baron and then just kind of vibing in their half of the map as it falls off. But the Mountain Soul cannot fall off. They're going to have this for the rest of the game, and including when the Elder Dragon spawns. It seems like Heartstuck, they love to go to these objective pits, and that's got to be on their minds, as they are still only 3 towers down. They have so much to do in terms of objective destruction to get themselves anywhere near winning the game right now.
Now, something super key to note here is because the Heartstuck squad took Baron and then Dragon, both of the objectives of the Elder and the Baron spawn at give or take the same time. So they've actually shot themselves in the foot here because they can't commit to both now. They can only commit to one, and between Kayle and Kai'Sa, they can happily take the other objective. So this is going to get actually more difficult for Heartstuck when that inhib comes back, because they're going to be torn across the map by the 1-3-1 comp, even though they lost the Soul.
Oh, ult committed by Cyril to try and catch out Easy Game GG. They have got them deep into enemy lines. It's godlike goes Diamond Storm, and they've got one pick to kick it off. That is going to stymie out the push completely from Sorry Stags.
Yeah, at this point, all Stags are doing is they recognize that the enemy have Baron. They are the team fight comp. They outstat us. So let's just lurk. We pick areas and we live by Kenma's philosophy. We find bushes, we wait in bushes. If they walk into us, we don't care too much. Yeah, somebody will die, but they're spending time and resources hitting us, which means that they are a bit more worried that their Nexus is open. As we see here, in any other scenario, they would continue pushing down mid or get deep vision into the enemy jungle. But you can't risk it. If you are not 110% that you have vision on the members, or they can't get to your base. Remember, Heartstuck go out into the losers bracket if they lose this. This is for the Stags' qualification to varsity, so they can take no chances with leaving this base alone.
Yeah, for sure. Starry Stags looking to avenge their own Winter 29 scene split when they were 1 series away from making varsity. Now they are 1 game away, but Heartstuck are putting up a solid defense against them, looking more in control in this second game. Their decision making has been more on point. They're coming out on top more often than not. And now, something that I've noticed over these 2 games is the Kayle has been such a high priority pick so far. It was picked first, I believe, in both games. Hasn't been banned, but they put so much priority on it, and both times it's kind of fallen flat.
Yeah, we're seeing it now. Since the nerfs have actually hit, she isn't just this walking death machine that could just run through both teams. She does a ridiculous amount of damage still, but they need more time to ramp up to it. Kayle's just tagged over to level 16, so don't get me wrong. They are weaker than before the nerfs, but that doesn't mean you could just walk into them. We see it in every one of these fights. They ult themselves on 10% HP, Diamond Storm pretty happy with themselves, and then the Kayle turns back, claps them twice, and suddenly Vayne is on 50%. So, weaker, but definitely still a fighting force.
Yeah, we can see why Diamond Storm has opted for the Wit's End and the Phantom Dancer in these games, just to try and give themselves some survivability, some more options. They do have both Summoners back up now, the Cleanse and the Flash, and we've seen that they need to use them both when the side of Sorry Stags is coming at you. They know who they need to take down, and they're trying their hardest to do it. But if they commit that much to Diamond Storm, that still leaves Cyril, and that's another player who has looked so much stronger in this game. They have had a much better game 2 than 1. Their ults have been so impactful.
Yeah, the people to watch heading into this fight are, like you said, Diamond Storm, Cerule, Lamborghini, and Ekus. If any of them step anywhere past their tank line, it better be for a kill. And it better be for a damn good one. If it's not on another one of those members, it's probably not worth it. Because there is so much counter CC from both teams. Between Shenton, between Sejuanio, everything else that isn't one of those 4 carries kills one of those 4 carries. So this is just going to be watching them and seeing, basically, it's going to be a battle between the supports almost. And when I say supports, I mean the 6 members that aren't those carries. You just need to tank that CC. If you can block the Sejol, and even if it's Kenma flashing in, they don't get a pick on the backline. But if you keep the Kai'Sa alive, that's a win in your books. That is beyond what you deserve to be getting. And
definitely
now,
feels bad to have Kenma be put in the support pool at this point. He came off the starting block in this game at lightning speed, once again having such a great early game impact, but now he's the lethality Rek'Sai who can't seem to kill anybody, and now he's just a knockup bot, and you might as well be a tank at that point.
Yeah, that's the thing. Rek'Sai, there was a reason that they weren't so prominent last season, is because they weren't even a tank that could keep up. And this is partly why they still work for similar reasons we saw from their release last game, where they were super proactive and constantly pushed the ticket and forced the enemy team over the edge. But in this game, they just don't have the same level of ability to impact from afar. And at this point, if you're ever in melee range of anybody on the enemy team, one of you is dying. It doesn't really go any other way. Short of the Rakan, everybody else can either kill you or dies to you.
Yep, and speaking of dying, it's probably something that Diamond Storm is not going to be doing too much more of. Just finish the Guardian Angel now. That is 3 items which help with the survivability, plus the Gwynsiu's Kraken Slayer combo. Diamond Storm is ready and prepared, plus the Mountain Soul Shield as well. They are ready to try and survive and last out these fights and be the carry they need. It's going to take so much for Sorry Stags to get the job done. Now we have this dragon coming online very shortly. Daddy Justice versus Ekus up in that top side. Both have TP.
He's going for base.
Ekus is actually pushing up mid lane as well, and now it seems like Sorry Stags have taken control of Dragon Pit.
They've done this wrong. Ekus can actually end the game right here. They need to do something decisively quick, otherwise this is the game gone.
Yeah, Ekus now gets that engage onto Daddy Justice. They have the ult and the engage back. Ekus takes a bit of damage, but now this dragon fight is about to explode in the river. 4 people from each team there. Easy Game GG's ult does not land. Cerule does not catch Lamborghini, but Easy GG has get taken down. Legendary goes Diamond Storm. Ekus going for the win. Warrior has stand united in. Daddy Justice just watching in despair as Ekus and Warrior sneak the win. They grab the 2-0 of what looked like a game that was so difficult. Sorry Stags, the kings of clutch, will not be denied varsity.
They do excellent work there. We talked about how it could happen, and it pretty much went by the textbook right there. Initially, you imagine that they're going to split objectives, take 1 for 1, and see which is going to be an Elder versus Baron kind of endgame. But at that point, they just decided, if you're going to run out of your base and leave Kayle here, she's just going to end the game. And we saw Harriet, they backed off from that team fight, got the ultimate in, and the 2 of them just took the game while the rest of the team just cancelled recalls. There was nothing else they could do. As we take a look at this post-game right here, we've got some lovely little stats to take a look at.
In the chats from Poggers Patrick giving us these stats to look at as we see. I mean, it's another loss for Heartstock, but look at how much damage their characters are doing. This is, look, if you just look and take the win-loss off, you think, oh, Heartstock have just won this game, right? But they actually got it stuck out from under them. They took the gold back in their favor. They didn't give it up this time, but instead of giving up the gold, they gave up the whole series.
Yeah, it was close for everything up until that point, but it was really once the Nexus had no towers to be defended, it just meant that you had to play this game so safely. And Heartstock, once again, we saw they recovered. They were doing a great job with the Soul of defending their base, not letting anybody on their side of the map. But for once, Stags showed excellent patience, and we saw them put the enemy in another situation almost akin to last game, where it just gets to the point where they got to the end, and it came to a point where it was just the pressure on Heartstock. They were going so well in this bracket. They're not out. They go into losers now, but we can see Stags, they promote. They're in Varsity.
Absolutely. They have made the run come true. The dream is alive and well, and they will be playing in our varsity spring tournament come next year. Massive congratulations to the Surrey Stags. They said that they wanted to be top 4. That's what they aimed for, and they might not have made it in Swiss, but they made it into varsity nonetheless. As you said before we started this series, now they get another chance to prove that they are top 4 material. There are a lot of strong teams in there. They are going to have some very stiff competition, but looking from what we've seen so far, I think they're up to it. This is a team that you can never, never, never count out of a game.
Yeah, I love how Kenma plays this game, and they're going to do so well in this new part of the series as we head into the next season. It is going to be so important to have that decisiveness, that ability to force the ticket early. So many teams in Newell and the like just don't force plays, and you just let yourself get unraveled bit by bit. The enemy team tears you apart, and you just watch yourself lose, whether it be from getting skill checked or just making mistakes like we saw in the River in the first game. But if you have that decisive player, I'm certainly calling Kenma the MVP for this series, as they just ended up pulling the game to a lead. And when you have a somewhat abstract comp when it comes to 1-3-1, the champions all look fine when you put them together. But trying to play this half 1-3-1, half team fight style and making it work, props. That's all I can say. It's great work.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're pulling multiple bans every single game and you've always got another pick to pull out and completely different styles of picks as well. You can play the Graves, the Rek'Sai, the Elise. You can go on the tanks. This guy can do it all and is a very well-deserving MVP, I would say, for this series. And Heartstuck, on the other side, commiserations to them for not coming out the victors today, but they do drop into the losers bracket. The road is not done for them just yet.
Yeah, I certainly hope we get to see more of Heartstuck, because Diamond Storm, they really put on a show in the latter part of this game.
Yeah.
From the tower dive onwards, they were online. I don't think they even dropped more than 1 kill after that point, and that was a cataclysmic team fight gone wrong. They finished that game 13-1-5. How sad is that to be the losing vein with that kind of scoreboard? Rough.
It is a rough one, to be sure, but them's the beats. That's how it goes in this high-level competition as we see it play out, and we'll have to see if Heartstuck can keep the run going as we move on. But that is going to be us for today's stream. We've seen Surrey Stags qualify to varsity. I have had an absolute blast. These games, they were explosive. They were backs and forth. Every time we get Surrey Stags on this on the screen, they seem to deliver for us, and I'm happy that they have made this varsity dream come alive for themselves this season. We are going to sign off just now. Once again, of course, this stream brought to you by the Null, sponsored by Amazon University Esports, Twitch student, and Levi's 24/7. Check out the panel down below for the link to the membership program where you can earn points with every purchase. What a sweet deal, if I do say so myself. I have been Trajan, joined by Melvin Nizzle. It's been a blast as always. Everybody, I hope you have a wonderful night. We will see you in the future.